We talk a lot about protagonist, the chosen one, the hero's journey, the main character energy, but great stories aren't carried by one person alone. Behind nearly every iconic protagonist is another figure, less celebrated, but just as essential, the Deuteragonist. And without them, many of our favourite stories would fall flat. A Deuteragonist is the second most important character in the narrative. They're not the villain, they're not background support, they're the character who shares the emotional and thematic weight of the story with the protagonist. Sometimes they're a best friend, sometimes a rival, sometimes a reluctant ally, but their purpose is always deeper than helping the hero. Protagonists don't define themselves alone. We understand a hero through contrast, through fiction, and that's where the Deuteragonist comes in. They reflect the hero's strengths and flaws in ways no antagonist can. An antagonist challenges the hero's goals. A Deuteragonist challenges the hero's identity. They ask the questions the story won't let the protagonist ignore. Are you doing the right thing? Is the cost worth it? And who are you becoming along the way? Often, the Deuteragonist carries the emotional heart of the story. They suffer consequences the protagonist doesn't. They make sacrifices that go unnoticed. They feel the weight of the hero's decisions in deeply personal ways. Because of this, Deuteragonists are frequently where moral complexity lives. They represent alternative paths, the life the hero could have chosen, or the values they've compromised. When a Deuteragonist disagrees with the protagonist, it forces the audience to reconsider who's really right. Now, I'm probably showing short clips of Sasuke right now because, in my opinion, he is the perfect example of what a Deuteragonist. He is the perfect example of a Deuteragonist challenging the hero's identity, the hero being Naruto. At first they do begin as, somewhat friends, then they form one of the strongest rivalry in anime fiction. Now in Boruto, it feels like they're kind of reluctant allies. So I feel like Sasuke is, a good rendition of what a Deuteragonist aims to be. One of the most important functions of a Deuteragonist is acting as a mirror. They show us who the protagonist is by comparison. If the hero is reckless, the Deuteragonist might be cautious. If the hero is idealistic, the Deuteragonist might be pragmatic. If the hero is driven by destiny, the Deuteragonist might fight for choice. This mirroring creates tension that feels natural, not forced. It's not good versus evil, it's belief versus belief, and that tension is what gives stories depth. Deuteragonists also balance the narrative structure. They give the story room to breathe by shifting perspective, tone, or emotional focus. When the protagonist is locked into a singular goal, the Deuteragonist reminds us of the broader consequences. In many stories, if you remove the Deuteragonist, the protagonist would still act, but the story will lose its soul. There's a reason audiences often gravitate towards Deuteragonists. They're relatable, they doubt more, they hesitate, they question the narrative instead of accepting it. They feel like real people, navigating the fallout of a heroic story, rather than the fantasy of being the hero. So while protagonists may lead the story, Deuteragonists give it meaning. They challenge, reflect, and complicate the hero's journey. They remind us that no one becomes great alone, and that sometimes the most important character isn't the one at the center of the spotlight, but the one standing just beside it.